Welcome to the Backgammon Christmas calendar. 24 points of Christmas. The 13 point by Grandmaster Mark Olsen.
What's up, Backgammon fans? Today is the 13th of December and we're gonna talk about the 13 point. So we've made it this far. We made it more than halfway through December here and halfway through the Backgammon board. And in this video, we're gonna talk about the 13 point, which is your midpoint. And I have 3 ideas I wanna get through in this episode. So let's begin. Idea number 1, of course related to the midpoint, is the idea of efficiency. Efficiency is the backgammon concept that says that we want to utilize our checkers to the fullest. A checker needs to be well utilized. So what is good utilization? Well, if you have a checker that can go to build a point, that is very efficient use of your checkers. Stacks are inefficient because right now you have a third of all of your checkers on one point, the midpoint. That's not good utilization of your checkers. So you need to unstack. You never want to stack your points. You want to unstack and play as flexibly and efficiently as possible. So for instance, in the opening game, if you get a 4-3, see the 4-3, you have several good moves with 4-3. You could also split the back checkers and bring a builder down, but bringing 2 down is also, this is perhaps even the best play, especially for money game and when you're trailing in the match. You're unstacking your midpoint, you're bringing builders down to your front position. This is a good move with 4-3. So that's idea number 1, efficiency, unstack, play flexibly with your checkers. So especially early in the game, you want to unstack, get those builders into your front position. Okay, idea number 2. So now let's say we're heading into the middle game. Let's say you've built some points here, you've got some I don't know, something like this, and your opponent might have built something as well, maybe something like this. Okay, so now we're more in a middle game position, and this is a very, I wouldn't say it's an important idea. It's not a crucial idea that you have to always make sure this is true, but all else being equal, you would prefer to keep this idea true. And the idea is to keep a spare checker on the midpoint as long as you can. You don't want to do it at all cost, of course, but it's useful to have a spare checker on the midpoint. Why is that the case? Well, because this spare checker gives you outfield control without losing the midpoint. So if I were to jump out in your outfield, you would have a spare checker to hit that checker with, without giving up the midpoint. If you don't have that spare checker, of course you're still gonna hit because you need to hit and send the guy back, but now you just lost the midpoint in the process. So for that reason, in the middle game, all else being equal, we prefer to keep a spare checker on the midpoint for as long as possible. It's very useful the moment your opponents start jumping out to the outfield to have that spare checker there. Good. Idea number 3. This idea is a little bit more sophisticated. If you read, which you haven't because it hasn't been published yet, but Super Grandmaster Mochi and I gave a masterclass seminar last year, and it's been written into a book. It might even be published, I'm not completely sure, but it's gonna be published any day now. And in this book, especially in chapter 1, which is from Mochi's, one of Mochi's chapters, he talks about this idea of having a prime formation or a blitz formation. If you have a prime formation, you want to make priming moves. If you have a blitz formation, you want to make blitz attacking moves. A tell of whether you have a prime or a blitz formation is actually how backloaded your builders are. And the most backloaded your builders can be is on the midpoint, because from the midpoint, this is your reserve of builders. These checkers are gonna come down to your outfield and it's gonna start to build your prime. it's going to start to build your prime like this. So for instance, if you have a position where maybe you build your 3-point and you have something like this, just by looking at your position here, it's easy to identify this is a priming formation. It's not a blitzing formation because you have a pure point, you have no stacks, and you have a lot of builders backloaded that can come from behind and fill out the gaps in your prime and build a pure prime, right? It's because you have a lot of builders very backloaded, and the most backloaded they can be is on the midpoint. Contrast that, okay, so let's say we have, this is your position over here. Let's say my position, I rolled an early double 5, so I must have played something like this. Hey guys, remember to download and play on the Backgammon Galaxy app. As you can see, I'm more front-loaded than you are. I don't have as many checkers on the midpoint. My builders are already advanced into my home board. That means that it's going to be difficult for me to fill out the gaps in my prime because my builders can't come from behind and fill out the gaps. I've already advanced them too much. It's not that it's bad, it's just bad in terms of building a prime. It's good in the race, it's good in the blitz attack, but it's bad in terms of priming. So in this position we have right here, your game plan would be to prime and to try to trap those checkers and have me crunch. My game plan is to escape and run those back checkers before I crunch, because if I manage to liberate those back checkers and get to full freedom, now I'm winning the race. So I don't want to get stuck here in a priming battle because I'll end up crunching. I want to race and I want to go for a blitz attack if I get the opportunity to do so. You're not in a hurry to split your back checkers. Actually, after your opponent rolled a double 5 early, you should never split the back checkers because it's too dangerous. You're going to get blitz attacked. Yeah, so the idea is that your midpoint is your reserve of builders to your prime formation. If you have a lot of checkers on the midpoint, it means you have priming potential because you can unstack them and it can fill out your gaps in your prime. If you already emptied out the supply of builders from the midpoint, it might be difficult to build a prime. So the checkers on the midpoint, they play an important role in your prime development. This was episode 13 about the 13-point. We hope you like this Christmas calendar and we hope that you have a good 13th of December. See you tomorrow, guys.
Merry Christmas, Backgammon fans!